17 and afraid of Sabrina Carpenter. Okay, not really, but did you guys see that tweet back in like October that said something along those lines, kind of talking about how like Sabrina Carpenter is very like sexualized, or at least, you know, she sexualizes herself. I saw that tweet and that was kind of something that I wanted to make a video about, but I've been putting it off for a while because I didn't really know how to approach the subject until now. But I think I finally figured it out. So welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about the child star to pop star pipeline and how it affected a lot of singers. We're mainly going to be talking about Miley Cyrus, Ariana Grande, and Sabrina Carpenter in today's video, but there are a lot more. Like off the top of my head, I can think of Britney Spears, Selena Gomez, probably a lot more, but these are the main three that I really wanted to talk about today because I think that they highlight this pipeline that I'm seeing the most. And if you don't know who I am, let me introduce myself really quick. Hi, welcome to my channel where I talk about music and music related things. I like to talk about artists, albums, events, and observations that I see happening in the music industry. So if that's something that you guys find interesting, you're welcome to like, subscribe, and stick around for a little while. Okay, now onto this pipeline that I'm talking about. Okay, so the first artist that I really wanted to get into was Miley Cyrus. If you don't know who she is, whoa. But she is both an actress and a singer. She was on a Disney show called Hannah Montana, and she's also starred in some other films and TV shows, but for the past couple years she's mainly been into singing. Miley's acting career started with a unique opportunity of being cast on her own Disney Channel show called Hannah Montana at just 13 years old. The immense popularity of the show kind of launched her into stardom and cemented her as a household name in the 2000s. But the meteoric rise also placed her into a very controlled environment where her image and identity were meticulously curated to fit the sort of Disney girl persona. Her early career path was profoundly influenced by not only her artistic evolution, but also her personal struggles with identity and her public perception being a teen in the music and film industry. Ultimately though, her journey from child star to this sort of like pop provocateur and then coming back to being a more grounded artist now in the 2020s really reveals the complexities of growing up under the spotlight, how her acting career funneled into this sort of over-sexualization that we see in her and a lot of other artists as a way to sort of reclaim control. So if you don't know much about Miley or her family, she was kind of born into the spotlight as the daughter of musician Billy Ray Cyrus, who makes country music. You might know him from Old Town Road. But her role in Hannah Montana really launched her into this new stratosphere of fame, where the show's success turned her into honestly a global icon. But like, as long as I can remember, I've been a fan of Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana. I had a coloring book, I had a lunchbox. She was that girl for me and a lot of other people in the 2000s. But being this sort of global icon came with a lot of significant challenges. As she noted in her own interviews, her childhood was very far from being typical. She was expected to maintain this sort of family-friendly image and embody an idealized version of a teenage role model up until even her 20s. This pressure to adhere to a pristine persona during her formative years made it very difficult for her to explore her own individuality as both an artist and just a person. She reflected on how her Disney upbringing really shaped her adult life, saying, "Obviously, being a child star shaped me into a very different adult than some of my peers and friends," she explained. And the duality of being herself and a character like in Hannah Montana being Miley and Hannah and being Miley Cyrus in the real life really created this public perception that was hard for her to even escape after the show ended. After Hannah Montana ended, she was finally free from Disney's constraints. However, the transition was anything but smooth. The public had been very accustomed to seeing her as this innocent, bubbly Hannah, and her attempts to shed that image were met with intense scrutiny by the media. The leaked video of her smoking marijuana at 17 was one of these first cracks that we see in her perfect image, and it drew very significant backlash. Despite apologizing, it was very clear that Miley Cyrus was beginning to see the pushback against the expectations that were opposed to her. But I think the true breaking point came in 2013 with the release of her album Bangers and her infamous MTV performance, where she twerked on Robin Thicke and made very provocative gestures, and it was very different from the normal Disney that we saw. She later revealed that that period of her rebellion was a very deliberate FU to the system that had controlled her for a very long time. However, it was what began as a quest for this sort of liberation that she wanted to kind of subvert from these expectations. She said that it became something that was expected from her. You know, she didn't want to show up to photo shoots and be the girl that had her cherries out and sticking her tongue. It was saying that girls should have their own freedom, but it got to a point where even she felt sexualized sexualized. And then we kind of saw this sort of double standard of the female sexuality, as her over-sexualization at the beginning of the Bangers era highlighted the broader societal issue that she felt with the demonization of the female sexuality in the media. Her nude appearance in the Wrecking Ball music video, for example, drew very widespread criticism. While the imagery was intended to convey a very vulnerable and emotional rawness, many dismissed it as being scandalous and inappropriate. The backlash was again over-exemplified, as it was the double standard that was faced by many female artists who were often criticized for expressing their own sexuality in ways that male artists just couldn't. Moreover, her story isn't unique, really, in the sense that other child stars such as Britney Spears and Amanda Bynes have also showed similar struggles to navigate this transition from family-friendly content to being autonomous adults. For these women, reclaiming their own identity often became the sort of cost of public approval. This career arc in Miley Cyrus's life kind of underscored that difficulty of escaping the Disney image and the consequences of defying societal expectations. Despite the challenges, she emerged out of this rebellious era and into a renewed sense of purpose and autonomy. Her most recent album reflects more of a grounded and authentic version of herself, with songs like Golden G-String directly addressing the criticism that she faced and the hypocrisy of the culture at the time, with lyrics like, "Yes, I've worn the golden G-string, put my hand in the hellfire, I did it all to make you love me and feel alive," showing how she really felt in this situation. Her evolution as an artist, from this polished pop princess of Hannah Montana to the provocative figure of Bangers to now a more introspective and empowered musician, really illustrates her resilience. While her acting career on Disney set the stage to her initial rise to fame, it also created these conditions which often led to rebellion and subsequent over-sexualization. However, she ultimately reclaimed her own narrative, proving that she's more than just a persona that she's inhabited over the years. And her journey from being Disney's darling to this pop sensation and beyond the testament of the complexities that she felt growing up in the public eye, her acting career on Hannah Montana gave a platform that also imposed these limitations on her, that she then spent years trying to break free from. While her rebellion led to a rather problematic phase of her life, she paved the way and asserted autonomy as an artist for both herself and other artists in the future. Today, she stands as sort of a symbol for resilience and reinvention, and a reminder that your identity can be fluid and that self-expression is a journey, not really a destination. Now, going from Miley's Bangers era, in 2013, we're introduced to Ariana Grande, whose journey as a teen actress to a global pop star has exemplified these intricacies and the dynamics of being a child star and the impact that it has on personal and artistic evolution. We see this sort of similar timeline in how her early career as a Nickelodeon star, most notably being Cat Valentine on Victorious and Sam and Cat, set the stage for her later transformations into one of the most recognizable and sexually empowered figures in the music industry. Now, I know that before being on Sam and Cat and Victorious and everything, she was on Broadway, and she's really just been this sort of performer, whether it's acting or singing or just performing in any sense. She was really just meant for the stage, and she knew that from the start. But her trajectory once again just highlights these expectations that are placed on young performers and the complex ways that they navigate their own identities over time. Ariana Grande's breakout role on Victorious marked the beginning of her true public journey, as she reflected on this period in a recent episode of Pod Crush with Penn Badgley, saying that they were all young performers and just wanted to perform with their lives more than anything. She recalled the excitement of being cast, but also acknowledged the difficulties of being in that environment, especially being on Nickelodeon with Dan Schneider. He's a story for another time. More than anything, she really just emphasized the need for a safer and more supportive environment on sets, especially for child and teen stars. The Nickelodeon era was also a moment of discomfort for Ariana, as she thought back to a lot of the certain innuendos in Victorious. Looking back, she realized that the network was really pushing boundaries, and though her and her co-stars found a lot of joy in the characters, the experience left her reprocessing a lot of her relationships with her early career. But as her time on Nickelodeon came to an end in the mid-2010s, she faced this daunting task of redefining herself. In a conversation that she had on the Backstage Pass podcast, she revealed that her transition to music was both liberating and terrifying, and that her debut single single, The Way, marked a critical turning point in her music. She said that she was kind of terrified and she didn't know if she really wanted to make music or if she wanted to make something else. She shed the persona of Cat Valentine and now embraced this new aesthetic, complete with thigh-high boots and a high ponytail. But this reinvention didn't really come without challenges. She now wrestled the expectations placed on her as a former child star, and she really feared alienating her established fan base. However, it was her success in this debut album that affirmed her decisions to take these creative risks, setting the stage for her evolution as a pop powerhouse. As Ariana continued to make album after album, each one of them reflected a confident embrace of her sexuality and artistic identity, especially with one of her more recent albums, Positions, with songs like 3435 and My Hair. She leaned into the themes of intimacy and desire, blending these playful innuendos with a deeply personal storytelling. Many critics noted how Positions navigated this fine line between shock value and authenticity, presenting Ariana Grande as the sort of woman who's just unapologetically in love and exploring her desires. The album also has like these extreme R&B influences with them, with a couple collaborations like The Weeknd and Ty Dolla $ign, showing her ability to balance vulnerability with her empowerment. With songs like POV delving into self-reflection and romantic admiration, it offered a very nuanced perspective into her relationships and the personal growth. The depth of this album really solidified her place again as a pop star who's just unafraid to challenge the convention while staying true to her core and her musical identity. But it's her career as a whole which highlights these broader issues surrounding the treatment of child stars and the lasting effects that they have on early fame. As her reflections on the need for mental health resources and parental supervision on sets underscored the importance of creating safer environments for young performers, coupled with the challenges that she felt as she reconciled with her Nickelodeon past and her current artistic persona mirrored by those of former child stars such as Miley Cyrus and Britney Spears, who also struggled with these public perceptions and expectations. She found a way to reclaim her narrative by using her platform to advocate for change, as her journey from being the red-haired Cat Valentine to being this chart-topping artist is a testament to both her growth as a performer and a person, as she's once again navigating these complexities of fame with grace and determination, as she's now taking like a step back from music kind of, and working more on Wicked, even though like Eternal Sunshine is still nominated for Grammys and everything. She's really just an artist that has proved once again that she can do it all despite all of these challenges. Now, kind of in the similar time frame of the mid-2010s, we see Sabrina Carpenter's rise from Disney Channel star to global pop sensation as well, as we see her transition from being this family-friendly image of My Heart on Disney Channel to this unapologetically sexual and self-assured persona that we see. She once again mirrors other artists in the entertainment industry while highlighting the challenges faced by young performers. From a very young age, Sabrina exhibited these clear passions for music and performance, as her breakout role as My Heart on Disney Channel introduced her to a global audience. While also at this time, she balanced acting with her music career, releasing her debut album Eyes Wide Open in 2015. It featured uplifted, very well-crafted pop songs that really fit that sort of Disney image. Her Disney years were defined by very wholesome storytelling and the carefully curated image, with her songs reflecting themes of ambition and self-discovery resonating with her teenage fan base for sure. However, it was even in this era where she expressed the desire to grow as an artist, describing songwriting as both educational and empowering. But just as quickly as her acting roles expanded, so did her music. She faced the challenges of shedding this Disney image, but I don't think it was really to that extent as the other artists that we've seen, as we had seen her act in other movies and TV aside from Girl Meets World, and we also see her transformation become more evident with the release of her 2022 album Emails I Can't Send. The album combines the emotional vulnerability with her sass and humor, offering glimpses to her personal life and her relationships. Tracks like Feather and Nonsense showcased her wit and her willing to experiment with these risque themes more than other artists normally would have, and it set her stage for a more daring and artistic phase of her music. Her live performances again emphasized this evolution, as her tradition of improvising city-specific outros for Nonsense during her concerts earned her reputation, with her playful ad-libs being progressively more explicit and marking a bold departure from her Disney roots.
BBC said I should keep it PG. BBC, I wish I had it in me. There's a double meaning if you dig deep.
She has lyrics like "Come right on me, I mean camaraderie," and "Adore me, hold me, and explore me." And her live performances definitely amplified this, with her sultry costumes and her theatrical stage that celebrated this sort of female sexuality. And despite all the criticism, she defended her choices, emphasizing the importance of authenticity and creative freedom. In interviews, she addressed the backlash from parents and more conservative critics, asserting that her performances are a celebration of empowerment rather than provocation, saying that if the one thing that helps you perform is the way that you feel comfortable dressing, then you gotta do what you gotta do. Her approach resonated with her diverse audience, creating a space where fans of all ages can feel liberated and embrace their own identities. Her career underscores these complexities that we see once again with Miley Cyrus and Ariana Grande, among others, as they grapple with the expectations of having an early fan base that mainly consisted of children and striving to assert their own autonomy. And her ability to merge her humor with her vulnerability and sensuality once again redefined her image, earning both praise and criticism, while ultimately her journey reflects this broader narrative that we really need to talk about the evolving roles of women in the entertainment industry. By embracing this multifaceted identity that she has, she's carved out one of these unique spaces of pop music, providing the sort of empowerment that sexuality can coexist without compromise. So now that we've looked at all the artists, what are our final thoughts? Well, we can see that all of these artists have faced similar backlash in the way that they try to break out and release their own music, but I want to look at why do they always go for something more sexual. And this isn't like a way to bash them for making the kind of music that they like. I enjoy the kind of music that they like, but I think that they go into this more sexual sense less as a shock factor and more of just they didn't really get to explore this in their own teen phase and their own like early 20s. So now when their fans are in their teen phase and early 20s, they find that it's their time to finally get to explore themselves, which is something that we all should have a chance to really find in ourselves. And so for the tweet saying I'm 17 and afraid of Sabrina Carpenter, why are you afraid? What is so scary? I would love to know. But so that's the end of the video. I don't have much else to say. I hope you guys' holidays were well. You know, 2024 was a year. But it's New Year, new headphone emoji. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts more about that. Are there any other artists that have fallen into this pipeline that you'd like to see more of? What other topics would you guys like to see in 2025? I have so many questions. Did you guys see my nails? I painted them. Not much else to say besides that, so